Welcome back to Kinder Coach. I'm Audrey, and today's video is the second video in my phonics series. If you didn't catch the first video, you can click on the link below. It will take you to that video. In that previous video, I discussed what phonics is, why it is so important in the reading process, and what the goals of phonics instruction actually are. So we don't want our kiddos to just look at a letter and know, okay, that's letter A, it says A. That's important, but we want them to be able to apply that. So we want them to understand the alphabetic principle. Okay, so what we discussed in my previous video was the alphabetic principle is the understanding of the predictable relationships between written and spoken language. So basically knowing that this written language, these letters, okay, either one by itself or groups of them make certain sounds, spoken language. And then the opposite. So knowing that our spoken language can be represented by writing these letters, these symbols. So that's our goal. Now, research has shown that understanding the alphabetic principle and knowing the alphabet is the #1 predictor of successful reading. So, and it makes sense, right? I mean, this is the big step toward actually being able to read. So now that we know the goal of phonics, let's start with the basics. So you know where you want to end up, your child being able to decode words or sound them out, and also encode words or spell them, write them down. So that's our goal. That's where we want to end up. So how do we start? What's our starting point? How do we get there? All right. And many of you might be thinking, well, of course, we just, we start with A and we teach the letter and we teach the sound. I'm going to back up even further than that to the very, very, very basic, okay, part of phonics. That is, what is a letter? Seems common sense, right? But if I said to you, what is a letter? Could you answer it automatically? Or would you have to think about how to describe it a little bit? Most of us would have to think, oh, well, obviously I know what a letter is, what it does. I use it to read, but what exactly is it? So when our kids are first introduced to letters, they have no clue what these little things are. Okay, they have no clue that it represents anything. They just see it as lines and squiggles. So what we want to do is explain to them what a letter is. So letters are symbols. Well, what's a symbol? It is something you use to represent something else. And then you can go further into it from there. So I personally like to start, show them a book. This is one of my favorites. Okay, read them a story that will grab their attention, and then point out the words. So, hey, look at this. And you might want to use a big book so that the whole class can see if you are in a classroom setting, but this would work fine if you're just one-on-one or one-on-two with your kiddos at home. So look, see these little chunks of symbols and then there's space in between? So those are called words. So we're starting very basic. You can count the words if you'd like to work some math in, but you want them to understand that those are words and that each of those words is made of letters. It's made of these symbols. And these symbols, which they'll find out later, make certain sounds or spell certain sounds because letters can't actually make sound. They spell sounds. Sorry, fly. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so we have these words broken into letters, all right? Now, they're not going to get it just from that. Okay, it's going to help them. What we want to do is some fun activities with letters just to get them used to what a letter is. And now, if you've ever worked with young children before and you're introducing letters, you may get to a frustrating point as, let's say, a preschool teacher, when you hold up a letter and say, what letter is this? And the kid says, 8. Right? I know we've all been there. Okay. That is because they don't truly know what a letter is. They just see you holding up these things. It could be a letter, it could be a number, who knows? So, this is why we need to work on this first before we start doing specific. This is M. M makes the sound, or you can spell it with, by writing the letter M. Okay. They're not there yet. So what you can do is some fun activities. So the first thing I want to show you is some sorting activities. So letters have different parts. Some parts are straight lines. Okay. Some parts of letters can be curvy. Some letters have mountains or hills or humps. Some letters have little openings. Okay. Some letters have holes, is what I like to call them. See the little holes? So you want to start with two of these characteristics. So let's say we want to separate the letters that have curves and the letters that have straight lines. You can use bowls or any small containers to do this. And they are just going to, you can give them cards, laminated letter cards, anything like that. Or you can use these little magnetic alphabet letters. So we would put this. Oh, this is a tricky one. It has both. It has a line and a curve. Where do we put that one? Let's put it in the middle. Or you have more straightforward ones. This one just has straight and slanted lines. So we're going to put that in the other pile. We're not telling them what the letter is or the sound it makes right now. We are just getting them to identify the features of the letters and know this is a letter. Now you can also sort symbols, shapes, and letters. So what you can do is put some shapes, so like maybe some hearts and squares in with the letters and help them understand, you hold up the heart. Is this a letter? No, this is a shape. Okay, this is the letter. So it sounds so simple and like something you really don't think that you would need to do, but do not assume that your little ones are coming to you knowing what a letter is. Okay, because many of them, they don't know. You have to show them. Okay, it makes it so much less confusing for them later on. So we've done some sorting. Let's see, let me look at my notes. I don't want to miss anything. Oh, letter hunts. Kids love these. You can do it anyway. If you're working on a unit of study, you can theme it for that unit. Say you're doing astronauts, you can do it with stars, but you're just going to have some sort of letter cards. You can even write it on an index card or a Post-it. And you're going to stick the letters around the room, along with some shapes and symbols. And the kiddos have to walk around and pick out the letters. Okay. You can do this with tiny little letters, and they can use little magnifying glasses. How fun is that? My personal favorite that they love is a glow in the dark or black light hunt. So once they get the hang of what letters are and they start learning about the different letters, if you have a black light, you can turn off the lights, and a highlighter marker will glow in a black light. So you are just going to write those symbols and those letters, and they can walk around and find them with the black light. They even make little flashlights that have a little black light on them. And you can even take a regular flashlight and wrap it in colored cellophane, okay, and turn it into a black light. I believe it's blue or purple. I have to look that up. I'll try to link it below if I can find it. Anyway, fun way to do it. You can also do magnet match, which is have a sheet in front of the children with the letters on it. and they have to search for those letters and match them up. They can work in teams for that, or pairs, or on their own. You can do a sensory bin and bury the letters and have them find the letters and sort them out that way. There are endless possibilities to introduce kids to what a letter is. I highly recommend also labeling everything. Label everything, because you have so many opportunities at that point for a child to look and say, hey, that's a letter. We talked about that letter. And it's all a learning experience. And the more they're exposed to this, the better they're going to remember it. Kids love to work with their names, so that is a great way to introduce them to what letters are. And you can use dry erase activities, put an alphabet chart in a dry erase envelope, or just use a board. They can check off if it's a letter, put an X if it isn't. There are tons of digital resources for this as well. Endless possibilities. So that's all I have for today. Please just remember that your kids will probably need scaffolding at first. So they'll probably need some sort of sheet in front of them, or at least at their table with the letters on it, so that they can reference, what am I looking for? So how do I know if it's a letter? If I don't see it on this sheet, it's a no, it's not a letter. Okay, and then gradually you can remove that scaffold later on so that they have to remember. But starting out, give them everything they need to be successful to build their confidence. All right, well, that's all I have today. Join me in my third video as I discuss a little further into actually learning the names and sounds of letters. See you later.